Today, we are diving deep into the unsung hero of global commerce, EDI standards. These are the rules that let businesses all over the world speak the same digital language. And trust me, if you're in the supply chain, IT, or procurement, you need to know how this works.
So picture this. You have two companies trying to do business. One's in North America, the other's in Europe. They have completely different systems, totally different document formats. You know, without a shared language, something as simple as a purchase order becomes a complete and total translation nightmare. We're talking manual data entry, faxes, and just an endless chain of emails. That shared language, that's an EDI standard, and today we are breaking down the most important ones out there.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with why these standards are so incredibly important. Then, we'll take a tour of the major players in North America, Europe, and some key global industries. And here's the promise. By the end of this, you'll have a really clear idea of which standards apply to your business, your region, and your trading partners. So let's get into it.
First things first, let's lay the groundwork. The best way to think about EDI standards is as the Rosetta Stone for business-to-business communication. They take all the chaos from thousands of different company systems and translate it into one universal language that computers can actually understand.
At its heart, Electronic Data Interchange, or EDI, is really just the tech that lets one company's computer talk directly to another company's computer. It's for exchanging things like purchase orders and invoices automatically. No humans retyping data, no emails getting lost in the shuffle. Just pure, clean, structured data getting from point A to point B.
So the key word here is standard. This is the rulebook. See, a person can look at a messy invoice and probably figure it out. But computers, they need a perfectly structured, agreed-upon format to process that information automatically. A standard makes sure the purchase order number is always in the exact same spot and formatted the exact same way. And the electrical plug analogy? It's perfect. A plug made for a UK socket is useless in a US outlet. Well, standards get rid of the need for an expensive custom data adapter for every single business partner you have.
And you know, this stuff has been around for a while. The technology itself popped up back in the 60s, but it really started to get serious in the mid-80s when different industries and regions began to lock in their own rules. Now, the really brilliant part is that they were designed to be technology agnostic. That means the standard doesn't care what software you're using or how you send the data. And that's exactly why they've lasted for decades and still run the entire modern supply chain today.
Okay, with that foundation set, let's jump into our first major standard. We're starting in North America with the absolute powerhouse of the region, ANSI ASC X12. But pretty much everyone just calls it X12.
The scale here is just massive. It was founded way back in 1979 by the American National Standards Institute, that's ANSI, to support all kinds of business transactions across different industries. Today, over 300,000 companies around the world use X12 for their daily operations. It is, without a doubt, the standard for doing business in North America. And this shows you exactly how it works day to day. The X12 standard has over 300 different transaction types, and each one gets its own 3-digit number. So in retail, when a store needs to restock, its system sends an EDI 850, which is the purchase order. When the supplier ships the goods, they send back an EDI 856, the advanced ship notice. Or, in logistics, a company sends an EDI 204 to a trucking company to tender a load, and that carrier sends back shipment updates using an EDI 214. It's a beautiful automated dance.
But it's not just for moving boxes around. The X12 standard is incredibly versatile. In the world of finance, an EDI 820 is used to handle payments and remittance advice. It even stretches into government, with specific transaction sets for things like statistical reporting, that's an EDI 152, all the way to voter registration data with an EDI 280. It's everywhere.
All right, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, of course, developed its own standards to fit its unique markets, and a couple of them really stand out, starting with a really interesting one from the UK. The story of Tradecoms is pretty wild. It stands for Trading Data Communications, and it was launched back in '82 primarily for the UK retail scene. But here's the kicker. Active development on it actually stopped way back in 1995, and yet it is still the dominant standard for retail EDI traffic in the UK today. It's a perfect lesson in how sticky and entrenched a standard can become once an industry fully adopts it.
Now, alongside these regional players, the United Nations developed UN/EDIFACT. That's a mouthful. It stands for Electronic Data Interchange for Administration, Commerce, and Transport. It's the only truly international standard out there, and it's huge across Europe and has a big presence in Asia too. This table really nails the challenge.
The business concept is identical. Everyone needs a purchase order, but the language is different. In North America, it's an EDI 850. Under EDIFACT, it's an orders message. You've got to speak the language your partner understands.
Next up, let's zoom way in on a super specialized sector, the automotive industry. With its mind-bogglingly complex and time-crunched supply chains, pretty much had to develop its own powerful standards to make that just-in-time manufacturing model even possible.
So in Europe, this actually led to two major standards. You have ODET, which was created to serve the entire pan-European car industry. But at the same time, Germany's automotive giants, we're talking Volkswagen, Audi, Bosch, they developed VDA, a standard tailored specifically for the German market's needs. It's a great example of how standards evolve to meet very specific industrial and regional demands. The auto industry isn't the only one that went its own way, not by a long shot. So let's do a quick tour through three more high-stakes industries that rely on their own custom-built standards for security, precision, and just sheer speed.
In the US, when you hear HIPAA, you probably think privacy rules, right? And you're not wrong, but that's only half the story. HIPAA's other critical job was to create a national standard for electronic healthcare transactions, things like insurance claims, eligibility checks, and payments. And guess what standard it's built on? Our old friend ANSI X12. Now for a bit of a technological curveball. RosettaNet, which is huge in the high-tech and electronic supply chains, isn't built on that traditional EDI syntax. Instead, it uses XML, a much more flexible, web-friendly language. It defines entire e-business processes. It really represents an evolution of the whole idea, applying those same principles of standardization to newer technologies.
And when we talk about global finance, well, there's really only one name you need to know: SWIFT. The Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication runs a super secure messaging network that connects over 10,000 financial institutions in more than 200 countries. It is the language of international banking. Period. It's how trillions of dollars move safely around the world every single day.
Okay, wow. We have covered a ton of ground. We've gone from regional giants to these hyper-specialized industry standards. So let's pull it all together and answer the most important question. How do you figure out which standard is the right one for your business? This right here is basically your cheat sheet. Your choice boils down to three things: your industry, your geography, and, maybe most importantly, what your trading partners are using. If you're doing general business in North America, you're going to be on X12. If you're supplying parts to a German car maker, you'll need to speak VDA. Selling groceries in the UK? That'll be Tradecoms. It's all about speaking the right language for the right conversation.
And why go through all this trouble? Because the payoff is huge. You dramatically improve data accuracy by getting rid of manual entry errors, you slash your labor costs, and just get rid of paperwork. You speed up your entire order-to-cash cycle. Adopting the right standard isn't just some tech requirement. It's a massive strategic advantage that makes you faster, cheaper, and way easier to do business with.
So I'll leave you with this thought. The entire global supply chain runs on this complex web of digital languages. Being able to speak them is no longer optional. The real question is your business fluent enough to compete?